So in 2014, I created this channel, Church vs. State. One of my first videos was called End Time Prophecy, The Death of Billy Graham, Super Bowl 2014, Winter Olympics 2014. Okay, now the Seahawks, because it's the same. It's the only reason why I'm doing this video. Because 12 years later, the same thing's happening. We have a Winter Olympics, which only happen every 4 years. We have the Seahawks in the playoffs for the Super Bowl. And I got my channel back. It was deleted in end of 2020, maybe the beginning of 2021. It just came back like 6 months ago or whatever. And I haven't posted. I think I posted one video and then I took that one down. I'm just not interested in posting videos anymore. And but I wanted to post this one because, when I did that video, as a kid I always had visions. And I had visions of drones, facial recognition. I had visions of what ended up happening in 2020. A lot of different things. But I never really had, in my opinion, God speaking to me, right? I've been painting a house today. So anyways, so at that time it's kind of like, I'm hearing a major religious figure dies. That's all I heard. I didn't hear Billy Graham at all. However, and so I made a video. However, the very next day, or I think the same day maybe, then I heard Billy Graham. And so then I said, well, I guess I'll make a video. I didn't, back then I said, my videos suck. They all suck. They still suck. But I was so focused on my music at that stage, I really wasn't focused on trying to put together anything of, as my one friend says, land the plane, right? So I just talk and I talk, and people either liked it or they didn't. But in that video, I said that Billy Graham would die. And the only thing that I said, I thought he was going to die that year. However, he didn't. He died 4 years later on a February in the Winter Olympics. So the message I was given, that voice, so to speak, was accurate. But I just didn't know the whole details. Okay. Same thing applies with I still have a couple videos up when I was talking about prior to COVID. And talk about March 22nd. March 22nd was the first shutdown. And I did videos prior to that about the Super Bowl and their commercials of the Black Pepsi and all these other things. I said, they're just showing you what they're going to do. And I was trying to explain, even the year before in 2019, I believe, I know I wrote a blog about it, about Hollywood basically going under. And as most of you know, if any of you follow my stuff, I always talked about this aspect of time from an aspect of Israel turning 80. And that you would see things progress in a certain timeline. 6 years prior to Israel turning 80, I said the Queen would have to step down. The Queen died, 2022, 6 years prior. I said then 3 years later, something else has to happen too. Meaning the king, if, the secession of the Queen dying, then the secession would be king. I figured that he would be the one next. Either it would be him or it would be the Pope. Well, the Pope was the one that ended up dying last year, 3 years later. Or of the third year, let's just say. So, recently, I had gotten another kind of the same voice, right? And I heard he will not, Trump will not see 80. I made a blog about it. People should go read my blogs. I write more now than I do videos. Of course, I don't do TikTok anymore. And so I really don't do videos anymore. I just write. Currently writing a film script with a guy. Maybe it'll come about. I don't know. I've written a few film scripts. Anyways, side note. The thing is that with these occurrences happening now, I'm just going to say you need to, obviously, everybody needs to always be prepared. I always tell people to repent and be baptized because you never know when you're going to go. But I'm going to say in February, something major is going to happen. I'm not saying it's Trump. That was just something I was given. You know, my dad also didn't see 80 either. He died 30 days after his 79th birthday, unfortunately. But so I kind of thought, well, maybe my dad was, maybe God was telling me my dad wouldn't see 80, but it was kind of like, no, I remember the word Trump. And if any of you, and there are some of you that actually know an old prophecy I gave in regards to Netanyahu, and I will not repeat that one. Those who know, they know, and that's all that matters. I don't know what's going to happen, and I'm not saying anything's going to happen. I'm trying to be very careful here but it's very hard to also not disregard the fact that 12 years ago was when I gave the prophecy of Billy Graham. And actually, during that year, 2014, another guy did die. So the prophecy was fulfilled as far as the religious leader, the very, very, he was like the largest independent TV evangelist in the world at the time. And his son just died, I think in December or November or something like that. So I'm just saying, people, hold on. And I'm not making any claims about Trump, but I will say it's going to be a major leader. Either, I don't think it'd be the Pope, but I don't know. Could be King Charles, could be, I don't know, people. All I know is that things are repeating, and they're repeating in such a way where I can't ignore the fact that 12 years ago, I gave that prophecy. It was the beginning of prophecies to come that have all been correct. And I've learned how to listen, maybe more so than then, because then it was, at that stage of my life, it was visions, it was dreams, it had nothing to do with hearing anything. So, and I didn't have a big lunch, so it wasn't like I was hearing because of stomach problems, That's a joke, But anyways, 12 years ago, 2014, I started the channel, gave the prophecies, they came true. The Seahawks won the Super Bowl, and it was the Winter Olympics. There's a lot of similarities in that. So my eyes are open. I suggest everybody repent and get baptized. And go check out my music site, and you can get to my blogs. Actually, you can go read my new book. It's called The Return of Moses, I think. I can't even remember my book name. I got a few books coming out. I'm doing some things right now with The Return of Moses. Here it is. That's it right there. Amazon. Yeah. I got a few other books. Yeah. I got a few other books I'm dealing with, getting people to do the I can't remember what you call it, but the formatting and all that crap. I put the book out on here, but I didn't like the format. I didn't like how they did it. So I'm redoing the book, redoing the format, and then I'm releasing 3 other books. More on water, theory, and things of that nature. That's all I really talk about too much now. And I will say this to people, though, if you've made it this far. My old video, I'll find it here. This one. The Church vs. State. Here's me sitting in there. Man, my hair was long. I can tell you at that stage in my life, 2014, man, things were different. I mean, I think I was working on my album Water's Edge then, and I put that out, and then the following year, or maybe later that year, I put out the album. Oh, maybe not 2014, the early 2014. I think that was the first album, the Book of Exodus, and then I put out Water's Edge, and then I put out 40 Years of Wandering. And then what happened in my life is I had to move back to Washington. I was in Washington for a bunch of years, and then 2020, end of 2020, I moved back. Well, I didn't officially move back here to Arkansas, but I came back here and then back and forth to Washington all the time. I'm just finally officially moving out here probably by June this year. So, but I ended up building a house, building a new recording studio. I got a whole new recording studio up in a loft on the other side of my house. And, I might be posting more videos here pretty soon. I don't quite know yet. I have a possible surprise guest that I'm sure a lot of you know. And I've ended up building a quasi... I built space for a podcast, and I'll talk more about that kind of stuff. A little more professional looking and more of the topic related and landing the plane, meaning, very short or maybe, long form. I don't know. I don't know what people want anymore. I've been off YouTube now for so long that I don't even know if it's even worth even trying to do something, trying to do anything. Anyways, enough rambling. Like I said, 12 years ago, 2014, a lot of similarities from then to now. Almost too many similarities for myself personally to discard. So I'm not discarding it. I'm keeping my eyes open for what happens in February, by the end of February. And then we have March. And then around March 22nd, I almost guarantee you this is the year that you're going to see a 9.2 earthquake in Northwest Washington. So keep your eyes open, people. Hug your kids, call your parents, go see your neighbor, repent and be baptized. See ya.